Right now, Oklahoma State has the nation's leading tackler, the Doak Walker Award winner, freshman All-American, and a dude with almost 300 tackles climbing up the draft board, and somehow people are surprised.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at AllDayOState. Today, we're brought to you by Game Time Tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Get with Game Time Tickets today. Meanwhile, we shift into the conversation of the Senior Bowl. First of all, we do have to give a shout-out to Dalton Cooper playing in the East-West Shrine Bowl. Pretty amazing to see some of the representation we have out here, and I think Dalton Cooper has positioned himself to be a potential late-round draft pick, worst-case scenario, undrafted free agent. But the Senior Bowl is also right around the corner this weekend as well, and a few Cowboys have been kind of making a stir and climbing up the draft board. For us here in Oklahoma State country, it's not insanely surprising, but it is also somewhat flattering to get messages from people all over the country talking about Nick Martin and Collin Oliver and Trey Rucker. And realistically, Collin Oliver is kind of on limited duty, which is very unfortunate because he's got a minor injury that kind of popped up just the other day. So he's not getting the opportunity to get a whole bunch of reps. He did try to get back out there again yesterday, but he's having some lingering issue with his leg. So that is a little bit of an unforeseen issue. But other than that, Ollie Gordon is making waves. Nick Martin is probably the most talked about as a surprise of the whole bunch. Nick Martin, who 2 years ago led America in tackles, led the Big 12 in tackles, and halfway through this season, both him and Trey Rucker were number 1 and number 2 in the country in tackles. Trey Rucker, he is proving that physical specimen that loves to be aggressive, that plays with a lot of tenacity, that made him a very viable option to potentially be an NFL guy while at Stillwater. It is kind of wild to me when you think back to Trey Rucker's career. He had almost 85 tackles this year. He had over 100 tackles the year prior. He's got 281 tackles in his career. He's also got like 7 interceptions, several pass breakups. We know what value he provides in the run game, and he has been able to incrementally increase his ability in coverage over the years. So it's no surprise to us here in Cowboy country to know that Trey Rucker is getting some opportunities out here at the Senior Bowl as well. Just like it's no surprise that people are talking about Nick Martin so much. Nick Martin, to me, is slightly reminiscent of what we were able to get out of Malcolm Rodriguez. Slightly undersized, therefore he was underrated, even though he was also one of the top in the country in tackles. This is multiple All-Americans that have carved out a nice little role for themselves and have been able to do some things at the Senior Bowl that has caught the attention of people nationally. Ollie Gordon was coming in projected as like the 10th best running back, which is absolutely preposterous because it's not his fault. He was getting hit in the backfield over 51% of the time, and he was still able to rush for almost 900 yards while being the focal point, while going up against stacked boxes 24/7 after winning the Doak Walker Award, running for 1,700 yards. Nick Martin just continues to surprise people, and his size is the only mitigating circumstance here that would prevent him from being a very high draft pick, much like Malcolm. You have Ollie Gordon, on the other hand, that is viewed as a massive individual that is catching people by surprise. People did not realize that he's 6'1", 233 pounds, and runs a 4.4 40. Well, they're seeing it now. There is one clip of a linebacker from Oregon getting the better of him, but outside of that, it's been utter domination by Ollie Gordon. People do not understand how he's able to move that fluidly with that size and still have the capability to go through the A gap, B gap, 1 hole, 2 hole, like it's nobody's business. This is what Ollie Gordon brings to the table, and we cannot wait to see who drafts him because the NFL is going to get a gem here, and he's no way going to be the 10th running back off the board. If he would have had another Doak Walker level season, you're talking about a second-round draft pick. He was projected as a top 20 draft pick coming into the season. Some people had assumed that this prior year pushed him back to like a 4th, 5th, maybe even a 6th round. After what he's been doing in the Senior Bowl, I don't think that there's any question that he's not going to go that late. Just like Nick Martin, he might have a little bit of a different story because he's not 6'1", 233 pounds like Ollie Gordon. He came out at 6 foot, 222 pounds, but he also clocked the second fastest time at 19.6 miles an hour of any tight end or linebacker at the Senior Bowl, and it would have put him at the top of the draft board at the Combine as well. Nick Martin is going to be one of the fastest linebackers in the draft, point blank, period. He's going to be able to get out on the flats, right? One of the text messages I got from somebody who covers the New England Patriots was, who is this Nick Martin guy? He is running with running backs effortlessly down the sidelines, up the seams. People can't get by him. They're running into him. He's like a stone wall, and they're falling on the ground. They can't complete their routes. And it's just so phenomenal because if you go back and look at the film, you'll see that he was a missile, much like Trey Rucker was. Trey Rucker was the guy that would fly in with reckless abandon, the guy that would jump over the pile and get in fisticuffs if necessary. Trey Rucker is that dude. Ollie Gordon is that dude. Nick Martin is that dude. And unfortunately, Collin Oliver has tweaked an injury that is probably going to limit him in a decent amount of what his capacity is. But you have a All-American in Collin Oliver that will always be remembered for that epic Bedlam tackle to save the game against Mr. Williams, Mr. Heisman Trophy winner. And I really believe that Nick Martin is going to have a very similar career in the NFL to Malcolm Rodriguez, if maybe not even a little bit higher, because he's a little bit bigger than Malcolm. Not a significant amount, but he is a little bit bigger. And Malcolm Rodriguez has obviously made a massive name for himself as a Detroit Lion. It is not a surprise to us, but it is finally nice to see some of the national media getting a better lay of the land on who Nick Martin is and who Collin Oliver is. And the fact that they're scooting up the draft boards is absolutely huge for Oklahoma State. We are wide receiver. You are at least in the conversation. We have that ability to put running backs in the NFL because we're doing it all day, every day. Your Jalen Warrens, your Chuba Hubbards, your Justice Hills, your Chris Carsons, Tyreek Hill's a running back here as well. But the defensive side of the ball is where we need to get more evolution in. And with Todd Grantham now being at the helm, this seems to be something that's an inevitability. This is coming. And we need to get prepared for it, just like we need to get prepared for the fact that we're going to have some Cowboys on this current roster that are in their 4th, 5th, 6th year that could be part of the 2026 draft class. So let's go over some of those potential dudes in the program. To come watch the dudes get it done on the field in Boone for what is hopefully a real spring game, get your tickets for all of the events with Game Time. And again, this isn't just football related. Music, comedy, theater, other sports, whatever the events are that are near and dear to you, Game Time ticket is going to be your best avenue. The NFL playoffs is an experience like nobody else can provide. The energy, the excitement, the connection with other fans, it's completely unmatched. You can remember the thrill, I'm sure, of seeing your favorite team clinch a playoff spot. And if you were there in person, that is a memory that you will literally never forget. Attending NFL playoff games is amazing, and Game Time makes it easier for you to create the best moments possible. With Game Time picks, it's going to filter out all the dumb, fluffy stuff and show you the best deals without you sifting through thousands of minutes of thousands of potential tickets. Get out of the fluffy stuff with Game Time. You can use Game Time for the upcoming Super Bowl, and it will change your experience on how you buy tickets forever. The Super Deal is going to give you the most incredible value for the most amazing seats. The all-in pricing is a game changer. The no surprise fees at checkouts is obviously huge for you and your pocketbook. Plus, knowing your tickets are backed by the Game Time guarantee gives you the complete peace of mind that you can take the guesswork out of buying any ticket with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCLEGE for $20 off. Create that account, redeem that code. Get with Locked On College, all one word, today for $20 off. Download Game Time today because it is last-minute tickets, lowest prices, Guaranteed. So we shift gears here, staying in the NFL model. For some of the potential guys I think that are on this roster right now that could end up in the same situation as guys like Nick Martin and Collin Oliver and Trey Rucker and Dalton Cooper find themselves right now. Now, I think there's some guys like Io Shotomite King that is definitely part of the NFL pedigree style of mold, but he's got a couple years. That doesn't mean he couldn't have a Blitnikoff level season this season and go to the draft a little bit earlier than anticipated, but he's not going to be on this list because we're talking about guys that are likely to be gone graduating. The first of all, this is kind of the easy road, is Brian McCoy, the Akron linebacker coming over 6'2", 240 pounds, who came into Oklahoma State with already a 5th to 7th round draft grade coming out of Akron. So the fact that he didn't take that draft analysis and he thought that coming to Oklahoma State could boost his trajectory even more means that I have faith in the dude. Plus, as I love to say, stats live matter and film don't lie. That dude has put up crazy numbers, which is why he was projected to be a 5th to 7th round draft pick already coming out of Akron. Another individual that I think has been fairly underwhelming, right? And I think he would admit that as well, because when you can move mountains and lift houses, the transition on the football field should be somewhat seamless. But now we know you can be big, you can be massive, you can move anybody out of your way whenever you want to, but it doesn't mean that you're technically going to develop enough to get separation, to eat up double teams and still get a hand in on the running back or create mismatches down low to where the running back and the quarterback have to completely change what the intended play was. That is something that we need to see out of Justin Kirkland, and those little technical moments are now happening for him. So if he can take the physical prowess that he's always had and find a way to make it translate onto the football field, I think this is going to be a big time for Justin Kirkland. And here's the deal, guys. You cannot teach his size, right? You cannot teach that size, that strength, that versatility. What we need to see now is the technical aspects of his game improve to potentially put him in a position to be an NFL guy. But he's got all of the other attributes to be an NFL dude. He's just got to start filling up the stat sheet. If he does that, he will be in the same position next season as well. Another dude that has been very talented, that has never been the question. The injuries have always been a limiting factor, but this should be Talon Shetron's year to shine. And he's had a lot of the tutelage from Casey Dunn, from Trayson Wallace. Now he gets the transitionary period with Doug Meacham and Darren H. He brings a decent amount of experience. He brings a lot of capabilities. Again, this is one of the biggest recruits in Oklahoma State history coming out of Edmond Santa Fe. If he can put it all together and stay healthy, right? That is the biggest factor that we have to add in here. If he can stay healthy, his size, strength, speed, ability to, be an expert in the route trees, this is going to be a year for him to showcase all of those capabilities and potentially fast track himself into this Senior Bowl type of ability, because it's not just seniors anymore. And Talon's been here for quite some time. So 4th year in, this should be a good opportunity for him, not to mention whichever quarterback ends up winning the battle, there's going to be times that we have to throw the ball up, right? Doug Meacham's already talked about one of the reasons we were so good back in the days, because we had guys like Justin Blackman that would just go up and get the ball over everybody else. Just like James Washington and Tylan Wallace and Tay Martin, Dylan Stoner. We've had Marcel Aitman. We've had a long list of dudes that had that 50-50 jump ball capability. Talon has it. Io Shotomite King has it. There's some other wide receivers on this roster that surely have it, including some of the freshmen coming in. But for the NFL 2026 draft, I think these are some of the dudes. Another dude going to be right next to Justin Kirkland, Iman Oates. Now, people have been very excited already about him, but another fun fact is we got Coach DC coming over. Now, was Coach DC there doing the same stuff at the same time as Iman Oates? That I'm not 100% sure of, but there is a little bit of a connection there, I would imagine, being from NEO, coming to Oklahoma State. That is going to be yet another position where we have multiple groups. So we'll have inside defensive linemen coaching. We'll have outside defensive linemen coaching. this is going to be something that Ryan Osborne is obviously going to be able to utilize. And having the NFL pedigree, the SEC pedigree, going back so long with Todd Grantham, I'm very excited to see what the defensive lineman can do. And Iman Oates is another individual that's 6'3", 320 pounds, that has the athleticism to get himself in a draftable position, which is obviously, a very beneficial thing. And then another dude, Mordecai McDaniel. And we just covered some of the depth chart stuff, and I feel like he's a little low on some of the depth chart projections. Just because he's coming from Charlotte does not dismiss or diminish what he was at Florida, what he was before Florida. And he went to Charlotte to get some of the more, advanced technical aspects of his career. He plays a lot like Trey Rucker, around virtual same size as Trey Rucker. So to me, this is only fitting that he fits into that mold. Like Cam Epps is more of an all-purpose athlete. He could play the offensive side of the ball. He could play safety. He could play corner. But it's a little bit different than Mordecai McDaniel, because Mordecai McDaniel is more reminiscent of a Lucien Antoine, Markel Martin, or a Trey Rucker style of guy that could flourish in this system. Another dude that I think has positioned himself fairly well to get an opportunity is Noah McKinney. Made no secret last year, I thought he should have been playing more, if not starting. The same concept I had kind of for Jason Queso-Brooks. So I felt like Noah McKinney was a dude who should have been playing significant minutes last year that didn't really get that opportunity. This is somebody that if you watch this film at UNLV, you'll understand my excitement. You'll also understand why seemingly I thought he was going to have the opportunity, especially when Dalton Cooper went down, to slide in there. Now, we appreciate Isaiah Glass, what he was able to provide, and Jake Springfield even coming back from injuries. But I had Noah McKinney above Jake Springfield, right? I'm just going to sit here and call a spade a spade. So because of that, I do have this internal feeling that if we're able to run the ball effectively and their pass pro is better than it has been the last couple of years, which hasn't been the glaring issue per se, Noah McKinney is going to be able to put himself in a position to get himself in an NFL draftable spot, because he does have a little bit of a hiatus here, but he also does have significant Marcus Arroyo film from UNLV, which put him in a position to be here. He has played sparingly. If you ask me, it hasn't been enough. So this is going to be his time. Those are some of the guys that I think could shine. And lastly, Trent Allen. Now, we haven't done my official depth chart review projection, so we're going to do that at some point in time. But I do think that Trent Allen is being under-evaluated at the moment. He got buried last year behind Ollie. And Ollie's season didn't go how it was supposed to. The Cowboys season didn't go how it was supposed to. So Ollie Gordon ended up toting the rock far more often than we had originally anticipated. But Trent Allen had a lot of suitors in the transfer portal, and he may have even tiptoed with the idea behind potentially getting in the portal, but he was convinced to come back. Whether it would be John Wozniak or Corey Patterson or Mike Gundy, no matter what the conversation was in the transitionary period for him, he went from wanting to get himself exposure to coming back. That tells me that the new system is going to be somewhat favorable to somebody who runs with his characteristics. I have had conversations with him. I've sent him some Chris Carson film. I said, eat, love it, absorb it. This is you. You can be this kind of dude in Stillwater, America. He believes the same thing, and he's excited to show everybody what he could do this upcoming season, because we all should be extremely excited about Rodney Fields. But in that, people are undervaluing Trent Allen, just like everybody's so pumped up about Zane Flores, Milo Smith, and Haas Haney, that they're forgetting about the leadership, the athleticism, and the maturity that Garrett Rangel brings to the fold. I think that is in the same breath of conversation as Trent Allen. So those are some of the dudes that I think we could be looking at a Senior Bowl, Shrine Bowl, potential draft in the next round of this whole madness. All righty, y'all, before we skedaddle on off of here, we do have to talk about wrestling, because the Cowboys have Senior Day this Sunday against top 20 Mizzou. The Big 12 foe is coming to town to get dealt with. Kind of feel bad for them because they're not a slouch. The record is not all that great, but they did just beat West Virginia. And if you watched that West Virginia duel, you saw that the Mountaineers actually made that thing pretty close. Some of the scores, some like the major decisions, were really a lot closer than the score was indicative of when the duel was over. Mizzou found a way to chop down that tree. And they, as they rode up, they're coming to the Sooner State to take on the Cowboys. Remind me of the Boomer Lake situation? Yeah. Anywho, this is senior night. So it's a bad time for Mizzou to come to town. And I do know that they have a guy in the middleweights, which is a little bit of our trepidation moment, that has won 5 of his last 6 by pinning people. So getting falls in the middle of the lineup, that's obviously going to be a little bit of an issue that we need to pay attention to. But we've got several seniors being announced Sunday. 157-pounder Caleb Fish coming over from Michigan State. 165-pounder Cam Amin coming over from Michigan. My favorite dude this year to watch, other than Wyatt, is 174-pounder Dean Hamidi Jr. from Wisconsin. Hamidi Jr. is so much fun to pay attention to. And, of course, the heavyweight doing backflips, Wyatt Hendrickson. They found their way to the starting lineup this season, even if it was, a little bit hit and miss at certain points in the time for the season, like a Caleb Fish, who's likely going to redshirt until we had some injuries pop up. One of those injuries that we've had throughout the course of the season was Reese Whitcraft, who's kind of battling some things. Cale Hughes obviously had some issues as well, battling some stuff. Sucks for Reese Whitcraft because he had a couple massive wins that got everybody excited. And he waited behind 5-time All-American Dayton Fix, and he got some opportunities this year, and then an injury happened. It is weird that Wyatt Hendrickson has only been here for a year because he's like a tried and true Cowboy. It feels like he's been here forever. He just fit in very effortlessly, and even though he's only here for a year, kind of like Steve Mako, he's going to be missed because he brings a ton of energy. And when you have a heavyweight, when the score is close, that you can lean on to finish up to get the W, that's absolutely massive for us. Another couple individuals that have been here for years and put in their dues, Dustin Plott, 184-pound, 3-time All-American, has the potential to win a national title because he got second in the Natty last season. This might be his year. 197-pounder Luke Serber, who's the ultimate Cowboy, who's gone from heavyweight to 197 to heavyweight 197, he even messed down below 197. He's just, whatever is asked of him, he's going to do it. And now he's having the biggest season of his career by far, and it's because he's able to score. He's able to get out of a scramble and turn a crazy situation into somehow him scoring points. He gets out of situations that don't make any sense. And it's been so much fun to watch. Him being here since his freshman year, being an Okie, now he's saying that he wants to remain part of the RTC whenever he does graduate. So it's another Dayton Fix style of situation. So we get to keep seeing him provide phenomenal moments for Oklahoma State. So this is just a bad time for the Mizzou Kitty Cats to be heading to Stillwater, Oklahoma. It's senior night. You've got a bunch of sections sold out. Last I'd heard, there is still some general admission available. They didn't give a number, but most of it is sold out, right? All the floor seats are sold out. All the club seats are sold out. All of the VIP stuff sold out. There's still some general admission tickets. Is this where we get over $10K in G.I.A. for a send-off of all these seniors against a former Big 12 and yet again Big 12 foe in the top 20 Mizzou? It's going to be an exciting time. Cannot wait for it. We need to start shifting to some softball conversations because Lexi Kilfoyle has made us all proud, being the number 1 first draft pick for the new softball league, which I don't know a whole lot about, which is why we're going to save that for a little bit of a later date. So we're going to have for this one right here As always, you know I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here in Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere, so happy you choose to be here. Like it if you like the daggone thing. Dislike if you don't, that's okay too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe. A podcast with people out there. You make this thing roll, click, go. So do me a favor. Do what you do. Hit the stars, leave a review. Alrighty, y'all. Later, my taters.